The proportions I use are 50% chuck, 25% short rib and 25% brisket. Now this is a really key part of this whole recipe. What we're doing here, the reason for needing another pair of hands, is as the mince comes out of the spout there, keeping all the fibres and the actual lines of mince running in the same direction. And there's two reasons for doing that. Firstly, all the proteins and the myosin that's going to be released, particularly with the chuck that's been salted, will act as a binding agent. And if these strands are intertwined like that, they're going to be more bound. Okay, the next step is just to form the roll. You need to put some pressure on it to get the meat compact enough that when we slice, we're going to slice across for the burgers, the actual patties, but not too tightly packed. There. When we cut through the meat, the upward direction of the fibres will help it fall apart, giving it the really open texture that I want. Now this needs to go into the fridge to firm up. Ding, 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 ding. A friend of mine has got it's one of the best restaurants in the States, one of the best restaurants anywhere, Thomas Keller. He has, in New York, he has his 3 Michelin star restaurant per se. Next to it, he's got a growing chain of restaurants called Bouchon. Thomas happened to be in New York, so I took the opportunity to grill him about his mini burgers. How much of this has been developed from a personal interest in hamburgers?
Well, you have to understand, first of all, because I'm an American, coming from a middle-class family, a big night out when we were kids was going to Mickey D's. As we grow older, and certainly, as chefs, your palate becomes more sophisticated. So the Mickey D's is not where it is anymore. But still, the hamburger is what you crave. So, you just do a better quality hamburger. For me, a lot about the hamburger certainly is the flavor of the meat, but it's also the flavor of the condiments. I love a cheeseburger. So I want to have that gooey, runny cheese. I want to have that flavor of that Monterey Jack. And then this with the acidic part, having that tomato compote in there.
Thomas's burger was made with a mixture of sirloin and aged Wagyu beef, held together in a buttery brioche bun. Although he was using top ingredients, I was glad to see he'd resisted the urge to make it too posh. That is pretty special. It's a brioche bun. There's rocket in there, the dressing, tomato, marmalade underneath the patty. When you eat it, all the things that I think you'd look for in a burger are here. Ding, 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 ding. Thomas's little brioche buns had got me thinking. Size does matter. I went to the Centre for Food Sciences in Holland in search of the perfect size bun. Jack and Carl looked after burger construction, while I talked to scientist John Prince.
I'm just going to get you to eat one of your own burgers, but we're going to look at how big a bite you take each time.
The aim of the test was to see if there is an optimum size for my burger. It was important to me that I could taste each layer in every bite. We've already hit some problems. The bottom bun's got too wet, and it's now starting to fall apart. The key thing is, here, this experiment isn't going to work, is it?
It's just too complex a shape, and the structure's disintegrating before our very eyes.
Hey.
Hey.
Chaps.
Hello.
We need a thinner burger.
Too difficult to handle?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Half the thickness, please, with all the bits in. While Carl and Jack cooked up a new burger, John analysed the results from the first test. Although my burger had fallen apart, he did confirm that the size of each bite was consistent. So what the results
so on the results here, you've got a perfectly straight line. So you're taking the same weight of food with each bite. The reason you take the same volume with each bite is so that you can swallow it safely. If it's too big, there's a chance that the bolus will not form properly and it will break up and go down the wrong way.
John Prince's theory is that the perfect bite size should be no more than 2 fingers thick. A few minutes later, and Carl brings in the re-engineered burger.
I think we got a winner here.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's...
Although it's still more than 2 fingers thick.
It means we need to make the bun... It's okay if the bun's a bit thicker, as long as when you push down on it, it actually collapses.
Right, it's forgiving. It's got to do its job and hold on the juices, not fall apart, not rip apart when you're trying to eat it, so you can take each bite out.
Doing this series, some of the dishes, you start thinking, God, half an hour programme on a dish as simple as a burger. But then when you start to look at the mechanics of it, you know, you realise actually there is so much more to it. We've got to deliver that big hit of flavour, that great mouthfeel, create enough saliva, really juicy, wonderful flavour, something to really bite into, but it's actually got to fit in the mouth at the same time. I've got an answer. Detachable jaws. Okay, so not practical, but at least I now knew that 2 fingers deep was what we were aiming for. We constructed an apparatus to see which of the many buns Chris had been developing would have the perfect resistance to give us that 2-digit height, and well, let's just say it got a bit messy. We got so excited about doing this experiment and the bits of kit to measure it. I think we might be losing away a little bit.
Yeah, that one is a low squidge factor. Need to soften the crust quite a bit is the first thing. And the other thing is it's got to be flatter.
But can you, as a home cook or even professional chef, with facilities available to us, make a bun that is as soft and squidgy as some of the more commercial ones? But we've definitely got a bun problem. The back of my mind was we might be having to recommend a mass-produced bun to go with this, because good burger buns, well, they won't have the buttery note in them, but the dough's even more liquid, and you can't make them by hand. There's special machines that do this. It took another 3 months' work, but eventually we found a solution. Ding, 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 ding. And now for the burger bun recipe. Here I've got a pre-ferment, which is basically a dough, flour and water, some yeast that's been resting in a cool place for 24 hours. So I now need to add this to the mixing bowl. Have the mixer running at low speed and add egg yolks and water. Now sift the flour. I'm using a very strong Canadian bread flour here, together with skim milk powder, sugar, salt and some dried yeast. Add this slowly to the mixture before adding the fats. Grapeseed oil, brown butter and vegetable fat. They all add to flavour and texture. It's going to look really wet, but don't worry. Putting it in the fridge for half an hour will help it firm up. Next up was to think about how to put this burger together. I wanted to stay true to the roots of this dish, and I'd heard about another place in New York where the burgers were pretty special. One of the other places we went to was actually in La Parker Meridian Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel. It's near Carnegie Hall. I walked in and I turned left and right and on and turned around again, and I genuinely couldn't find the place. Where is the place? Ah, look, there's a woman with a brown paper bag. She's just come from over here. Where's that? It's not what I expected. Hidden in the middle of a glitzy hotel, I'd stepped into a piece of true Americana. Much more in context than its glitzy surroundings. Hi there, can I have a cheeseburger with the works? This is my burger with the works. There's no right way to start this, so this might get the prize of the messiest. One of the challenges is going to be, I want the bits in, I want lettuce of some shape or form. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go for yet. It needs tomatoes, and I want pickles. But I also want it to stay in while I'm eating it. So I'm going to have to put my thinking cap on and just think about how to structure the burger, a bit like building a house. Back in the lab, we wondered if a different shaped bun would hold things together better. I had some serious misgivings. Okay, well, let's cut the burgers. This seems like a very silly test to me.
Look at this. Do we really need the bun at all?
It didn't take long to come to a conclusion. There's no point or valid reason for changing the shape of the bun from round to rectangular or any other shape for that matter. So now we need to shape and cook the buns. To start, make a mould. Wrap the foil around a glass beaker or jar, about 15 centimetres in diameter. This really is just about the hardest dough you could possibly work with. Turn it out and cut off a portion 85 grams in weight. Now, when you actually shape the dough.